I'm serious. And then we make excuses for them. They don't understand. Yes, the hell they do. We keep making excuses for people because they're Asiatic and Africans, as if they ain't sellouts, overseers, COINTELPRO operatives, because we don't expect that from them. And because they be out there in the venue. You know and I know. What, 94, 95? 93, 94, 95? Me and Hannibal went up there and nationalized. You know what I'm saying to you? I don't knock them. Let them do what they do. You know what I mean? I don't even battle with them. I just keep it moving and keep taking it to the people. And knowing that as the people get this information, they themselves, some of them same people that's been playing them and dragging their lives out, when this stuff could have been solved, we're going to be hanging from these damn trees, including a lot of them reverends. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, when to keep yourself in check, every once in a while, just pull up the synopsis of COINTELPRO operations to remind yourself to stop being naive and stop making excuses for these Negro leaders, because they're not. It's almost like the freaky gym teacher that keeps caressing your little girl's buns at the gym class, and you're saying he doesn't understand what he's doing. When no, I'm just saying this is what we keep doing, rather than taking him and changing or rearranging his head.
Yeah.
Do you know, like he's Asiatic? Oh, well, maybe he didn't really mean it because he ain't European or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like, stop making excuses for these people.
Young pups can't fuck with the Cujo.
Our sister, our friend, professional, qualified attorney, Akeisha, is only here to paint a picture of how we are viewed within the judicial system. Within the judicial system. Within the judicial system.
But I must say it again, I'm innocent. With my life savings, I paid a lawyer to get me railroaded. But I must say it again, I'm innocent. With my life savings, I paid a lawyer to get me railroaded. But I must say it again, I'm innocent. With my life savings, I paid a lawyer to get me railroaded. And let me stop right there. Plenty of us done that. That's nothing wrong with that. Plenty of us has trusted in a lawyer or an attorney and thought that they would be for us in the middle of our downfall or some type of error we have made or some type of way we've been set up or an accident or just perfectly being railroaded. Okay, because I've done it. I've done it years ago. I haven't hired an attorney since, but I've done it years ago. And everything I've that's come my way since maybe 2011, I've beaten. Y'all go get 9 charges dismissed without an attorney. I ain't bullshitting. Y'all bullshitting. I'm not bullshitting. I ain't afraid. Y'all talking about y'all banging on the cracker. Y'all ain't banging on shit. Faggot ass motherfuckers.
People are afraid to pursue their most important dreams because they feel that they don't deserve them or that they'll be unable to achieve them. We, their hearts, become fearful just thinking of loved ones who go away forever, or of moments that could have been good but weren't, or of treasures that might have been found but were forever hidden in the sand.
30 more
Moors say the prophet's name won't teach the same universal lessons, keep you slave chains on your brain. Wanting Moorish presidents when that's the prophet. If he was around, most grand sheiks' heads he'll off it. Guilty by association, off your head too for riding with dirty Moors that made a mockery of Drew Ali. Dirty Moors from Canaanland to Cali, used to be Elbe, now they claim Ali. Keep thinking that they for you, but get ignored. Giving lessons in pieces like a jigsaw, leave you puzzled. Your third eye muzzled, mind smuggled. Know how to say the right thing, keep lies subtle. Really win with truth bait, lying eyes and truth face. Ego Moors make you carry their suitcase or hold their umbrella. He walks like a fruitcake, prophet watching from the soul plane, the route you take.
There, these grand chiefs have not told these people these things when they know these things, because they get in an attitude change. And they've been playing do religious games. Then the Europeans, after they started getting thrown on the bus, started with the HMOs about 40 years ago. They ran that to the wall. Then they started on white Christian sovereign, white state sovereign, then uniform commercial code operations, and financial statements 1, 3, and 9, basically financial statements. And they ran them to the wall because as soon as they perfect the vouchers and then move on them, and they threaten them or they arrest them. And this is why whenever you ask people that has any of these UCCs to sell, ask them to name 5 people that perfected them. Now, millions of people have been doing it across the country. Keep this in mind. Any marketing thing to show proof, just like if you're doing any marketing, you got to show some evidence of successes because it's still stock. These are stocks. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, original manufacturer titles of origins are all bank bonds. Now they keep making all these processes for people to capture these things, and they can't name 5 people that perfected the discharge of their CUSIC number. We're not saying the processes in their principles incorrect. We're saying that they're rude. Now the Pope's telling you that they're rude.
Whose prince will you step in? Demons or genuines? MSTA members or Moorish Americans?
300 gangsters in the building. They don't want these problems. 300 gangsters in the building. Shout out to my man. And I ain't naming no name. 300 gangsters in the building. They don't want these problems.
90 plus years running a fraud, that's why you know every prophet and Ali but not Drew. Keeping you away, they have a deep, dirty Moor crew, causing confusion. This dirty Moor crew.
No Raleigh said, you know, before I brought you your name and your nationality and the knowledge of your birthright, nobody was talking to you. Nobody was telling you anything. Everybody was living off your virtues. And now that he brought your nationality and your birthright back and gave it to you, explained it to you, set up a foundation, an institution by which that information can be dispensed, now everybody wants to tell you what Islam is, what Islam is not. He said, they didn't tell you anything before. Don't let them tell you anything now.
90 plus years running a fraud, that's why you know every prophet and Ali but not Drew. Keeping you away, they have a deep, dirty Moor crew, causing confusion. This dirty Moor crew will tell you partial to have chains on your brain when there should be parcel, a free national name. Drew Ali got revenge by Moors eyes wide open, not Morisco world eyes wide open.
F you guys. All of you. Taharka Bay, F you. Liar. Goddamn liar. So here's the charter for the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, right? Now if you look right here, right? You'll see this is the seal that Taharka showed on his show, saying that we sell these seals for $30. Taharka, make sure you bring forward the people who we sold this seal to. Just make sure you bring the people forward, right? Just for the people on the other one, make sure, Taharka, because I know you watch our stuff, make sure you bring forward the people who we sold this seal to for $30. Make sure. Because if you don't prove your claim, you're a fucking liar. And you can go fuck yourself.
90 plus years running a fraud, that's why you know every prophet and Ali but not Drew. Keeping you away, they have a deep, dirty more crew, causing confusion. This dirty more crew will tell you partial to have chains on your brain when there should be parcel, a free national name. Drew Ali got revenge by Moore's eyes wide open, not Morisco world eyes wide open. For her can make those lips clap, using Frank, Gary, Brother Larry, journalist traps.
A mighty soldier, he go by the name of Tahaka Bey, this brother right here. What I love about my brother Tahaka is that he don't just roll over like some of the Moors we know. You know, we bang on them and they just roll over and say, you know, I ain't gonna deal with that. Tahaka Bey, he bangs back.
Drew Ali got revenge by Moore's eyes wide open, not Morisco world eyes wide open. For her can make those lips clap, using Frank, Gary, Brother Larry, journalist traps. Homoerotic, stray cat Moors dissing the mothers, putting blame on active Moors for Koran gains and others.
And it all appears legitimate on the surface, doesn't it? Until you study and find out that this is a social engineering mind control game and they've been part of it. You can see why they're upset with us and why the Southern Christian Poverty Law Firm sicked these shills on us.
Yeah, I guess if you take the research back, look, they're a corrupt group that exists to raise a lot of money for mostly well-meaning but gullible donors. I get it. But what I'm shocked by is how many media organizations take them seriously, pretend that they're legitimate. Did you lodge a complaint with them?
Well, first of all, anyone that criticizes them publicly run the risk of being labeled as a hater or being placed on hate watch or being mentioned in one of their articles. And so to get branded by them, all you have to do is criticize them. In fact, you yourself is at risk of being placed on hate watch.
Oh, I'm sure that's true. I wouldn't go there. But to call an African-American woman a white supremacist, I'm sorry to laugh, it's horrible, but it's also so ludicrous that why would anyone...
apologist for white supremacy.
Why would anyone take them seriously?
I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of influence at universities, and the name, the Southern Poverty Law Center, it conjures up an image of this organization that is seeking to eradicate poverty, that's working on behalf of the downtrodden. Totally false. They do nothing really for the poor. And so they have been able to amass, you know, millions of dollars with that image. And what they do now is really pursue an ideological leftist agenda, and they punish anyone who criticizes them.
I've posted up in there, listed from the Southern Poverty Law Firm. Let's see what the law firm, since these people are getting the advice about the law, let's see what the law firm has to say.
And why the Southern Christian Poverty Law Firm sicked these shills on us that's located here in Philadelphia. And trying to say that we set that girl up to get her killed and all that kind of stuff. And the Pope owns all of the corporate entities. And then they try to make her look like she was out to lunch because they know our people don't know this. And so she was suing them, so they put a hit on her.
Drew Ali got revenge by Moore's eyes wide open, not Morisco world eyes wide open. For her can make those lips clap, using Frank, Gary, Brother Larry, journalist traps. Homoerotic, stray cat Moors dissing the mothers, putting blame on active Moors for Koran gains and others. Fake prophets, heads on the coin, and pictures next to the noble. Today the treasury balance is zero, the total.
300 gangsters in the building. They don't want these powers. 300 gangsters in the building. Shout out to my man. And I ain't named.
And sovereign citizen has nothing to do with sovereignty. He even said that it's an oxymoron. And you can't be a sovereign citizen at the same time. So then, why are they still talking? These are dirty Moors. We're telling you, we're showing you, we're proving to you that they're dirty. If you want to follow them, that's on you. But do not ever think in your free mind that these people are going to talk crazy and we're not going to say something about it.
Study, study, when you finish, study yourself. Dirty Moors, judge your attire and judge your bookshelf. Study, 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 when you finish, study the law. When you study no trance by Moorish hymn composers. Study, 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 when you finish, study the higher. Dirty Moors cookout, death smell from Oscar Mayer.
Now this lamb shoulder is called a Moorish lamb shoulder. Yes, it is Moorish, as in really tasty and succulent, but Moorish as in the flavours that are going into this. You can see I've got loads of different spices here, and Moorish food is a combination of North African food, a little bit of Italian food. It's the combination of the Mediterranean and North African influence there.
Study, study, when you finish, study yourself. Dirty Moors, judge your attire and judge your bookshelf. Study, 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 when you finish, study the law. When you study no trance by Moorish hymn composers. Study, 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 when you finish, study the higher. Dirty Moors cookout, death smell from Oscar Mayer. Study, 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 when you finish, it's never finished. Dirty Moors selling status correction clinics. 500 per class pass, I'd rather watch Taj.
Jersey by the name of Taj Tariq Bey puts out excellent literature under the name Moorish Order of the Round Table. Excellent literature.
And have a clear perspective on the Moorish path. Faculty and student, Moorish Heritage History School. Don't endanger your life with a fool.
I'm not offended about this stuff. I'm thick skinned. You know what I mean? Because I ain't in it for ego. I'm in it for a whole different game. You know, I'm looking head and back. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the next generation. I ain't even, you know, they can't do, I can't be bored. Simple.
Oh yeah, and in my Supreme L voice.
To Harker, Pigpen, Bay.
And conscious means that you're conscious of what's going on in this world. You're fully aware and awake to what's going on in this world. That's what conscious rap means. So if you got conscious rap, that means you got unconscious rap. That means you got motherfuckers that's unconscious rapping. That means they sleeping. They still under a spell of Leviathan. They still under the spell of King.
Going back and forth on, not arguing, but one, Canaan, do you know who this Canaan, like, or Canaan Moor or something like, Canaan, something like that? Canaan.
Brother, the Canaanland Moors.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that one. Yeah,
the Canaanland Moors is led by the brother named Cujo Awal. If you go into YouTube, you can pull up his channel. Now one thing that stands out about a Moorish American Muslim, one thing you should never hear is foul language. That's number one. Gotcha. That's a dead giveaway. That's a dead giveaway. The moment that they use SHIT at minimum and FUCK or MF, brother, you already know they out of order.
It'll be bloody and violent. And then, according to one of my great scholars, Jacob Carruthers, it'll end in intellectual warfare, which is what we're going through now. It's no longer, big scimitars or, even an M16.
Swing the scimitar and I take heads off. Leave that fez on. I pray I ain't dead wrong, cause I'ma take your fez once that head's gone. Slamming for recognition, thinking you representing. Standing like a fool, no matter teaching or spitting. Ali's men told me to chill and it be hard for me when these fools misrepresent Drew Ali. How can you represent God with the name of a dog? You
Yo, sluts can't fuck with the Cujo. Yo, sluts can't fuck with the Cujo.
Rabies dog spitting flow, it's the more MC. No status rappers need to recognize Allah sent me to rep the prophet on beats, not Muhammad or Buddha. Verbal hashish when I flow out your headphone hookah. Whatever you think you started, it's about to end. Scimitar bass swing at your head and your lady friend. I watch no face, I don't care what you hear or heard. You won't see what I see with third eyes blurred. Hip-hop nerd at night, I read till my eyes bleed. I affirm you bleed. I got titles, you want these. I got nationality. You want ECCs and PPSA for freedom. You can't freedom with hearsay. When I spit, call me pepper spray. Verbal graph artist. Blacks always shout up calling yourself the color of target. Systems crashing. I noticed that they closed all the targets. Blacks were slave names on the stocks, crashing the markets. Who? What?
Yo, sluts can't fuck with the Cujo. Cujo.
Who?
Cujo. Cujo.
What?
Young sluts can't fuck with the Cujo.
R-A-P-P-E-R-S-T-O-D-A-Y. Talk with tongues forked and dressed like body guys. I'm different and will not be compared to them. Every youth claims to have guns, but I'm not scared of them. We walking on their blocks, won't mess with muzzle locks. Especially after I use law and back down those cops, kidnapping them and giving Billy Club shots and slapping. Sniffing stolen coke off the dash in their paddy wagon, reaching north of office between bars like a chorus. All they want is black man fam at the forest. I'm going at all principles and subordinates. Moorish MC, don't care for statues and ordinance. Feathers make magistrates sit up when we step in. If I plead, it's sex relation under fraud and misrepping. Standing on squares like Tekken. You call obelisks, leave whack rappers drumming and cornfields like Carlton Fisk. What?
Young sluts can't fuck with the Cujo.
I'm bucking at the Antichrist. I'm bucking at the Antichrist. I'm bucking at the Antichrist. So as the rappers ducking, impropria persona is the status I'm stuck in. If you get with this, they won't treat you like black sheep. The choice is yours, whether you want to stay awake or stay asleep. A lot of rappers for a check, keep it shallow, I stay deep. When pigs kidnap blue pill, I didn't hear a peep. From kill, crack, and Negroes, I notice your state of matter is soft like porridge. So what you say, it don't really matter. We'll call you imam, looking like a bill of the butcher. Tenderize me, halal pork chops and pressure cookers. Speculative, never acting through phone cameras. You lookers have no balls like at the end of a game of snooker. Punks like saying you're Jew when you're really a German. Punks calling ancestors black when they're wearing a turban. Punks punch with lines with their bin and rhymes. I just tell Orishas of your sins and watch comic fan climb.
You want to play God with a culture? You want to change this shit? You want to wash this out in 20 years? I remember back in the days, man, like Kid Flash had it so fucking tough. You know, MC Hammer had it so fucking tough. And now that shit is like cool now.
Leave that fez on, I pray I ain't dead wrong, cause I'ma take your fez once that head's gone. Slamming for recognition, thinking you representing, standing like a fool no matter teaching or spitting. Ali's men told me to chill and it be hard for me when these fools misrepresent Drew Ali. How can you represent God with the name of a dog? You all don't.
Deep in the rugged cockpit country of West Central Jamaica, the remote farming community of Flagstaff, with a population of about 1,000 people, looks no different than any other rural area in Jamaica. I know Flagstaff well because this is my home, the home of my family, and the homeland of my ancestors. At first glance, the bustling city of Freetown, the capital of the West African country of Sierra Leone, with a population of more than 1.2 million people, seems to have little in common with Flagstaff. However, both communities share a common Maroon heritage. In 2011, my friends and I decided to collect oral histories from Maroon descendants in Jamaica and Sierra Leone to reveal this history.
The Africans that had left the plantation to seek their own freedom in the hills of Jamaica, they were described as Maroons. But it is suffice to say that the people themselves describe themselves as Yankunkun, meaning that they are free and independent people who fought for their own rights.
There are now 5 major Maroon communities: the windward communities of Moortown.
Moortown is situated in the lush highlands of eastern Jamaica and is home to the descendants of independent communities of former runaway slaves known as Maroons. The inhabitants of Moortown have preserved several economic, political and social aspects of their specific heritage, including a unique system of communally held treaty lands, a local political structure, and the use of the abeng, a side-blown talking horn of Jamaican origin, which serves as a means of long-distance communication. The African ancestors of the Moortown Maroons were forcibly removed from their native lands to the New World by Spanish slave traders in the 16th and 17th centuries. The term Maroon, derived from the Spanish word cimarron, wild, refers to those slaves who fled the plantations in the early 1600s and established their own settlements in the Blue and John Crow Mountains of eastern Jamaica. By the early 18th century, the Maroon communities controlled much of the eastern part of the island. In order to paralyse the expanding plantation system then under British control, the Maroons formed well-organised and efficient underground military units. After decades of warfare, the British finally yielded to the community's demands for official recognition of their autonomy by signing a treaty with the Maroons in 1739.
Down the valley, walk again, walking down the valley, walk again, walking down the valley.
Originally from Western and Central Africa, with diverse languages and cultural practices, the Moortown Maroons developed new collective religious ceremonies that incorporated various spiritual traditions. These traditional expressions and practices, which were eventually named Cromanti play, constitute the very foundation of Maroon identity to this day.
Walking down the valley, this lovely wedding morning.
Yeah, right. Turn down, man. Alright.
During Cromanti ceremonies, dances, songs, and specific drumming styles are performed to invoke ancestral spirits. These ceremonies also feature Cromanti, an African-derived esoteric language, as well as rare medicinal preparation.
Charlestown and Scots Hall, located in eastern Jamaica, and leeward Maroon communities of Accompong Town and Flagstaff in the west end of the island. The leeward Maroons were led by a man named Kojo, who founded Kojo Town, which is known today as Flagstaff.
When Kojo sought a safe haven that the British could not manage him and his troop, they fled to the Cockpit Hills of St. James.
Here I'm standing on the path that Kojo took for his rescue to Pet River bottom. Here we're on the Maroon Trail that led to the home of one of the Maroon famous fighter, that's Kojo.
Right, what do you think about some of the newer artists that don't seem to be lyrically up to par with back in the day? But
well, see, that's a very good question. See, I look at the times as being different, you know what I mean? And I think the way that guys are approaching making these songs is a little bit different. I think our attention span is different. Like, when I'm talking to you right now, your phone may be going on. Somebody may be texting you. You get in a call. You get in an email. Yo, I want to talk to you. This is like, it's so much going on now that I think that people are not focused no more.
You must be eating the hug. Better greet me in love and I forgive you for your last thought. Make no mistake about it. We got passport and know how to use them. I say know how to use them. Ali men got passports. We know how to use them.
So I think that when cats is putting their lyrics together, I don't think they're putting the same time into it.
I don't think they're giving it the same attention. And I think they're just trying to get the record out quick. They're just trying to drop it quick. It's like fast food hip-hop. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, hey, you might have just coined a new phrase right there. Fast food hip-hop. So it's not the same time, you know what I mean? And the old school hip-hop was like the soul food. You better make every ingredient right. Because back in the day, we used to say if somebody took your lyrics, it was biting. Remember that? Yeah. You biting my rhyme, like that was damn near like a death sentence. Because Hold up. Hey, young Roger, bring it back. Let's calm it down.
The timekeeper. You left it to illuminate our hearts.
I'm just trying to live up. I don't want to give up. I'm just trying to live up. I don't want to give up. I'm just trying to live up. I'm sitting contemplating whether I want to give up. I'm here concentrating on giving a fuck. They say to suck, seed I'd rather achieve. They want you to believe and take it slow, but I bring it to fruition. I make it grow, manifest destiny. That's all I know, but the test keeps testing me everywhere I go, and I'm trying to open sesame and break this fucking mold. Now this search for this recipe is eating on my soul, all my members and faculties. I'm trying to gain control. They say it's a process, we all gotta go through to get to higher self from low. But a soldier never knows the strength until he faces foe, and a mastermind never knows by being told. He traces DNA to the ages that were old. Beware of the spies and the lies that they sold. Align with your constitutional fold. Align with your constitutional fold. Align with your constitutional fold. A million voices in my head saying, Jay, how could I? Why would I? A million voices in my head saying, Jay, how could I? Why would I?
Future isn't just one.
A million voices in my head saying, Jay, how could I? And why would I? Starly a moon. Sitting meditating on the party of life. Here deliberating if I should stay in this fight. They say we don't read, put it in a book. They want us to concede. I never look, but I use my intuition. I'm never shook, they'll never get the best of me. That's all I know, wanna get next to me.
Police Officer Lambie, again, can I ask you why you're following me around?
Everywhere I go, trying to open, dissect me. Help, you know I'm on my search for this remedy. Careless, common cold, all these senseless casualties is there to console. They say it's a process, we all gotta go through to get to higher self from low. Weight on the shoulder, dense pain I couldn't show. It's hard to find and always know what is your role. He gave us our state more than silver and gold. Be clear of the signs and the times that they told. Align mind, body, spirit, and soul. Align mind, body, spirit, and soul. Align mind, body, spirit, and soul. A million voices in my head saying, Jay, how could I? Why would I? A million voices in my head saying, Jay, how could I? Why would I?
Future isn't just one.
A million voices in my head saying, Jay, how could I? And why would I?
Who are you, Jay?
He's back, the light giver.
All hail Jay! All hail Jay! All hail Jay! All hail Jay!
A merciful one.
Go back and reconcile your past in order to move tranquilly into your future. Give twice as much as ye receive on the most sacred of days. Wait! The commandments!
The tablet! The tablet! The tablet! The tablet! The tablet!
We have lived by its word, and peace has reigned throughout our world. Pass it on to others, so that they too may be enlightened.
A million voices in my head saying, Jay, how could I? Why would I?
Yes, it isn't just one. Don't give up on us.
You never wanted nobody to say you was fighting. You had to be original. So now, people fighting, it don't mean nothing. Yeah, it's almost expected. It's almost like you're supposed to do it. Right. Like you're fighting. Like you didn't fight. Nah, this ain't right now. Right, yeah.
World College Dictionary, 4th edition, you need to have that in your house. You need to have the Black's Law Dictionary in your house. Remember, there's a dictionary for almost all the fields. A cooking dictionary, a dictionary for doctors, for medicine, all that stuff. So the stuff that you learn in school, when you go to the courthouse, you can't use those words. There's the word here in the Black's Law Dictionary, but it doesn't mean the word here that you have. Here and thereafter, we don't know what that stuff means. That's why you have to pay a lawyer. But some of the stuff we can learn on your own if you get the book and you know where to get the information from. There's two people that I have DVDs of, and you should check it online and see if you can pick it up. Booker T. Coleman, also C. Freeman Hill. You can you get the book or go online and you can pull it up and get a peep at it.
That on your list here?
It may not be on the list. So.
Add to it.
We are all here familiar with the cross, right? We think that the cross has something to do with religion, but it doesn't. When you look at the cross is like a box. If you had a box, a square box, and you put a line down this way and a line across this way here, right? You have north and south and east and west, right? That's the box. Then when you check out this brother's video, he'll show you that. You put colors on there, you put sound on there, you put the fire, air, and water on that same thing. So we're talking about how the universe operates, not religion. No matter what religion you are, when the sun shines, it doesn't shine for you by itself. It shines for the fruits and the vegetables, and it transfers water from the ground back up to the heavens and send it back down to you purified. Because the dirt can't go up. Only the moisture can go up. Then we send it back to you, then the wind blow it somewhere else. We have to study science, and that's it. Anybody, you want to have your religion? It's all right. But when you go to the science, you see the science is going to rule all that stuff out. Your mind and your brain, like they say, yo, man, my man got hot, huh? Yeah, but that's not what that means. Your heart doesn't do none of that. Your heart only pumps blood to and fro, and it's also the cooling system if you study air conditioning refrigeration. As your blood travels around your body, it actually cools, and when it comes back to your heart, it's at a different temperature. But it does not give you courage. Your courage comes from your brain. A mind is a terrible thing to destroy. But it's being destroyed because we don't even know how to use that. Someone else is using our brains. We're not using it. We're having people to tell us what to do and how to do it, and that you need a lawyer. You might need a lawyer, but go read some stuff on your own.
Now remember, if you go back to the letter that was written by George Washington in his conversation with Sultan City, it talks about how they owe tribute to the Moors for allowing them to even come to the Americas. When the Americas were first established, it wasn't even called America first. It was called Virginia. Okay, let's get that clear. And it was just a little small place. What the Europeans did is when they were on the ships, they created these compacts. One of them was called the Mayflower Compact. And before they actually came to the shore, they created government and brought government on the shore. And that equals the Admiralty government of today. what you have to understand about that is that though that may be so, we were already here. So if we were the Aboriginal indigenous person, and we ourselves have defined what a Moor is. Because again, the most powerful weapon in the hands of a man who will wield it or a woman who will wield it is not a gun or a knife or a machete or anything like that. The most powerful tool that we can have is the power of definition and what we define as reality for ourselves and our families. So we said that a Moor is an Aboriginal and indigenous person of North, South, and Central America and all of the adjoining islands. That means wherever we are. If we're in Canaanland, if we're in Eskimo proper, if we're in Puerto Rico, if we're in Trinidad, if we're in Jamaica, if we're in Barbados, is the land of the Moors. You follow me?
Yeah.
Okay. You gotta forgive me sometimes. I'm trying to get a lot of stuff in. So my brain is moving faster, my mouth is moving faster than my brain is telling me what to say. So I apologize. But I'm gonna promise to get as much in as I can for the time that we have, okay? What's interesting about the relationship of Noble Drew and what he was doing, as he was sewing the things back together, there were Moors who were standing with him who had on fezzes who were unsewing and pulling the garment apart that he was sewing back together. And that's what Grand Sheikh Taj, I want to acknowledge as well, one of our strong soldiers and fighters on the battlefield for the Prophet and his Moorish Divine and National Movement is Taj Tariq Bey, as well as Lord Nature Hill Bey, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. These two Grand Sheikhs, again, they're powerful brothers unto themselves, and they lit me on fire with truth and holy zeal. So I have to acknowledge them, okay? But one of the things that Noble Drew was doing, he was knitting it back up, but there were Moors who were attempting to undermine him at that time. Really similar to what was going on with Marcus Garvey during the time when Garvey was rolling. You had the establishment of the Boule during that time, which is an organization that was designed to work against any progressive leadership that was melanated. So they wanted to get rid of anybody who actually, and they used W.E.B. Du Bois, unfortunately, to actually work against the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. But, which is really kind of insane, because at the end of Du Bois's life, he winds up adopting the ideals of Marcus Garvey. He actually expatriated himself from the Americas and went back to Africa and repatriated himself. So it kind of defeated the purpose. Somebody trying to say something?
No, you're good.
Okay, so it kind of defeated the purpose. But there were agent provocateurs who were in the movement who were attempting to, and still are, attempting to pull the movement apart from the inside.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Isn't that the same as Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Really similar. More. There were people who were working in between Brother Malcolm El Malik Al-Shabazz and Martin Luther King to stop that meeting from happening, to actually unite those two minds. Those were two very, very powerful minds who had, at the time, had those two minds been put together, they would have been a very formidable opponent for the people who they were fighting against, i.e. the United States government at that time. Mm-hmm. The U.S., not the Republic. The Noble Drew talked about, the National Republic. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. A lot of the Moors think that we're insane because we talk about, America being this corporation and this fiction, but any nation that is insolvent and doesn't have gold and silver is a fiction. Most of the nations like that belong to the United Nations. And the United Nations exist for bankrupt nations. That's why Taiwan is not a part of the United Nations, because it's a gold-rich nation. I know I got off the subject a bit, but the movement between Malcolm and Martin and Garvey and even Noble Drew, because right at the point where Marcus Mosiah Garvey met the Prophet Noble Drew, they deported him right after that. So they didn't actually give them the opportunity to forge this cohesive alliance that would be strong enough to move our people from A to Z. Because what you got to understand about Marcus Garvey and the Prophet, the only distinction in the work of the two is that Garvey had everything, he laid everything out except for the nationality piece. Noble Drew Ali brought the essential piece, the nationality piece. Noble Drew Ali said, we are today what our ancient forefathers were yesterday, which is very important. Garvey actually was looking for something to call us. Garvey was actually looking for a religion or a tradition to bury us in. He wasn't sure if it was the Hebraic idea. He wasn't sure if it was an Islamic idea. So what he did was he kind of merged the two and had us work from that particular paradigm, which was brilliant because you can have the best of both worlds. But before that relationship was really forged, they deported the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. You know, perfect example. In the United States, there's something called UN resolution. No, I'm sorry. It's called I can't think of the number, but what it is a resolution, executive order, pardon me, during the Carter administration, President Carter, and it talked about the relationships, and this is their language, the relationships of the Africans in America and the Africans in Africa, and forging a wedge between those two so that the two never meet. So the game has always been the same. You know, that's why Noble Drew Ali came to begin to teach the Moors to be themselves. If we can just be ourselves, it'll make sense to us that we should unite with our brothers who have all of the resources that you can imagine. Imagine someone whose backyard is full of diamonds, but they don't have a way to extract the diamonds out of the earth. A very wise friend of mine told me about 10 or 15 years ago, and it's a very important book. If you don't have it in your library, you should have it in your library now. It's written by one of our great scholars. He's returned to the ancestors now. His name is Walter Rodney. Anybody familiar with him?
Yes.
He wrote a book called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. He was from Martinique. For some reason or another, they put a bomb under his car. I wonder why. He was having a conversation. About why Europe was so involved in African affairs and why they're still involved today. It all boils down to three things. It all boils down to three things, Moors, and that's God, gold, oils, and diamonds. That's all it's ever been about for the European. And he'll kill you and eat you. He'll kill you and eat you for those three things. You know? So we have to actually think beyond where we are. There's so much for us to do. But the first order of the day, again, is nationality. If we can begin to think as a national people again, and an example of what people do when they have nationalistic thoughts is the state of Israel.
Yeah.
Say again?
Islam. Yes, Islam.
Islam. The state of Israel is something that was created in 1948. Amazingly, there was one nation that they needed more to actually bring it into existence. And that nation that voted on the side of Israel that brought it into existence is Liberia. When I found that fact out, that blew me away. I was like, for real? Wow. Why? You know? Liberia. And with that being said, they built a nation. First they had a government in exile called the World Zionist Congress. And it existed in exile, being headed by Theodore Herzl. Theodore Herzl, right? It actually didn't know where to go. There's a book written about it. You can download it off the internet. It's called Judenstaaten in German. It means the German state. Jewish state, pardon me. Judenstaaten. And what it talks about is that they didn't even know where to go. They considered Argentina. They considered
Nigeria and Uganda.
And they considered Israel as the last resort, believe it or not. So if this is really their indigenous homeland and they're claiming it based on the Tanakh, the Torah, why didn't they choose that first?
Right. Well, Islam.
Not only is that an example of the how nations are built. I mean, they built it. It took them years to build it, man. It took them years to build it. I mean, lobbying, blowing up hotels, creating fake terrorist piece I'd like to recommend to the Moors, The Multitude. It's written by the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. It's a little blue and white book. It's about this big. It's called A Message to the People, A Course in African Philosophy. And what Marcus Mosiah Garvey does is lays out clearer than I've ever seen outside of one of our great, the brother Amos Wilson's plan, or even Chancellor Williams' plan, is how, step by step, to put your plan in action. It's amazing to me that, because a lot of books are written and they are solution based, But what we have to do is begin to take a little bit from all the wisdom of our elders who've come to make the vision of Noble Drew Ali come to fruition. Because again, on the chart it says extended learning. To take portions of what some of the others have said and done and put those together so we can move beyond 100 years. Islam. The actual Jewish state trains ambassadors. They have a 500-year out plan for the state of Israel from right now 500 years out. 500 years out. We gotta make moves. We gotta make some. We're playing catch up. We're actually playing catch up. But again, we have to understand that all these things are in divine order. That these things are, preordained. But I'd like to borrow this from another one of our great leaders. This is a fixed fight. And though it may look like we're going down, uppercut. No question. See, the uppercut is nationality and birthrights. The uppercut is various Moorish leaders around the country who they believe aren't in conjunction with each other, who work in conjunction with each other for the greater good of the Moors wherever we are. So don't believe all the hype and foolishness. There are enemies of the prophet and enemies of our movement. But there are brothers who work tirelessly day and night to make sure that this movement keeps moving and doesn't become stagnant. That's very, very, very important. Again, I know I'm jumping a lot, but just bear with me. I teach kind of weird. The Roman Catholic Church has and always has been in the seat when it comes to being in opposition to the Moors. There was a papal bull, June 18th, 1452, that talked about something called the doctrine of discovery. Anybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yeah.
The doctrine of discovery talks about wherever they go and find the Saracens or Muslims, they put it in parentheses, that they can vanquish them and take their lands because they were infidels. Okay? And this was issued by Pope Nicholas V. Now what's interesting about this, and they also used the same papal bull to do away with some of the other native peoples who were in the Americas. Right? They used the same exact papal bull. And these are the same people who there are pictures of blessing the guns of the German soldiers when they went into battle against, when they were throwing people in ovens. Okay, they got pictures of these guys, Spiritu Santi over the machine guns. So we have to understand that these are the same people again who've been at war with the Moors since the time of Charlemagne, when the Europeans didn't even agree with each other. You had the Angles, the Saxons, the Franks, all being Indo-Germanic, but didn't agree with each other. Then there was a man who came along named Charlemagne who said, you know what? If we don't do something to Saracens, they're going to take over Jerusalem. They're going to push us out. We're going to be slaves to these people. I don't agree with you, Anglo. I don't agree with you, Saxon. I don't agree with you, Frank. I don't agree. But what we can agree with is that we have a common enemy. Someone is attempting to kill us. So they forged a bond with each other and went in and destroyed the Moors everywhere that they could. And that has continued until this present day. There's still a silent war being waged against the Moors. There's a way to Moors where you can start a war and it'll be bloody and violent. And then, according to one of our great scholars, Jacob Carruthers, it'll end in intellectual warfare, which is what we're going through now. It's no longer, big scimitars or, even an M16. Now we fight with our minds.
Moor or something like Canaan, something like that. Canaan.
Brother, the Canaanland Moors.
Yeah,
okay,
that one. Yeah, right there.
The Canaanland Moors is led by the brother named Cujo L. If you go into YouTube, you can pull up his channel.
Now,
one thing that stands out about a Moorish American Muslim, one thing you should never hear is foul language. That's number one.
Gotcha.
That's a dead giveaway. That's a dead giveaway. The moment that they use SHIT at minimum and FUCK or MF, brother, you already know they out of order. Out of order. That's number one. So the Canaanland Moors is the brother named Kudu from Canada.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quickies. Wait a second. Is this technically a common sense quickie? Let's see. The video is addressing some common sense stuff. Check. But it is addressing specific Moors, which is not addressing this same Moor when he said nonsense about the Moroccan Empire being gone since the 1800s. That was in Common Sense Quickie number 30, titled Present Moroccan Empire. So far, technically, we are still within the realm of a Common Sense Quickie. Check. Alright, well, what about the length of this video? For a Common Sense Quickie, it has to be 10 minutes or under. Man, just over 14 minutes. Well, looks like we have to pull in Audible. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Longing. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try? So, according to the Gregorian calendar, it is the year 2020. And can you believe it? For a Common Sense Quickie, it has to be 10 minutes or under. Man, just over 14 minutes. Well, looks like we have to pull in Audible. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Longing. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try? So, according to the Gregorian calendar, it is the year 2020. And can you believe it? There are Moors that still think the United States of America is America.
You big dummy!
I mean, dang. So, in order to quell this nonsense once and for all, let's take it back to grade 4 geography class.
Hi, boys and girls. Today we will learn basic geography. So first off, let's find America on a map. Do you know what a map is, girls and boys? A map is where you find out where countries and continents are. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? So, boys and girls, do you know what a continent is? Well, a basic description of a continent would be a big piece of land that has many different countries in it. And all the continents in the world begin with the letter A. You have Australia, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, and America. Cool, right? Now, some people say that Europe is a continent, but when I was growing up, it wasn't a continent. So we will not count it as a continent for this lesson. Alright, now here is something really cool, children. When we go to the continent America, it is broken down into 3 parts. You have North America, Central America, and South America. Cool, huh? But when you look at it on a map, you only see North America and South America. Wanna see? So here is a map, and here is North America and South America. And here is North America on a globe. Now let's check another map, just in case something was wrong with the first map. Looks the same to me. And on another globe, it also looks the same. Isn't that awesome? Alright, so let's focus on North America for this lesson. At North America, you have 3 different countries. You have Canada, the United States, and Mexico. So the blue part that you see, that's Canada. And the green part, that's the United States. And the orange part, that's Mexico. Do you understand? Let's do it once again. So the blue part that you see, that's Canada. And the green part, that's the United States. And the orange part, that's Mexico. Simple, isn't it? Let's do it one more time, just to make sure. So the blue part that you see, that's Canada. And the green part, that's the United States. And the orange part, that's Mexico. Got it? Awesome. Hey children, do you want to hear something really funny? There are actually grown-ups that think the United States is America. Isn't that silly? But now that you have seen on a map that America is a continent and not a country, that makes you smarter than those grown-ups, right? Hey, you know what we call those grown-ups?
Big dummy.
Anyway, children, that is your basic grade 4 geography lesson for today. See you next time.
So now that we have sent the children off, let's deal with the Prophet's literature. Interesting how these same Moors that say Canaanland Moors are quote-unquote Moorish Canadian and not Moorish American, and that, quote, Canaanland Moors want to be American so bad, end quote, are the same Moors always saying that they teach what Prophet Nubal Juali brought, and they are for unity. The thing that boggles my mind is that these Moors fail to realize 3 obvious things. Number 1. We all pretty much have the same Circle 7 Quran. Number 2, we can all read. And number 3, chapter 47 is the same in all Circle 7 Qurans. So, the obvious thing to do is to go to chapter 47 and read what Prophet Noble Jew Ali wrote about our ancestral estate. Chapter 47, Section 6 reads, The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Section 7. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the Great Earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. So, question number 1. If, according to Prophet Noble Jew Ali, our ancestral estate is North, South, and Central America, including Mexico and the Atlantis Island, where does quote-unquote Moorish Canadian come in? Question number 2. Was the country, quote-unquote, Canada, around from since before the land split and the Atlantic Ocean was created? Now let's take it to the 101 or 102 Quran questions for Moorish Americans, questions number 13 and 14. Question number 13. What is your nationality? Answer, Moorish American. Question number 14. Why are we Moorish Americans? Answer, because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. So number 13 says our nationality is Moorish American. And number 14 says why we are Moorish American. So please show us where in there does it say anything about Moorish Canadian. Now let's go to numbers 19 through 21. Number 19. What kind of flag is the Moorish? Answer. It is the red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. Number 20. What do the 5 points represent? Answer. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Number 21. How old is our flag? Answer. It is over 10,000 years old. So if our flag is over 10,000 years old, is the country of quote-unquote Canada 10,000 years old? Even better. Is the United States 10,000 years old? Did the present borders of the United States exist 10,000 years ago? Did the present borders of Mexico exist 10,000 years ago? So where are you getting this quote-unquote Moorish Canadian thing from? What the hell are you talking about? You keep saying that you only deal with the Prophet's literature and, quote, you are bringing what Prophet Noble Jew Ali brought, end quote, but we have the same literature and we can read and we know basic geography. So you are blatantly going against chapter 47 in the Circle 7 Quran, and you are blatantly going against the 101 questionnaire when you fabricate this quote-unquote Moorish Canadian nonsense, which also means you are blatantly going against the Prophet. Period. And to the other Moor or any other Moors for that matter, talking that quote-unquote Moorish Canadian nonsense and talking about we want to be Americans so bad, we suggest you all go back to grade 4 and learn basic geography. America is a continent, not a country. So if we are quote-unquote Moorish Canadian, that would make you quote-unquote Moorish United Statesian, not Moorish American. You all should be smarter than that. I mean, what? Moors are supposed to be navigators, correct? But you all don't know how to read a map? You all don't know the difference between a country and a continent? When the Prophet said North, South, and Central America, he was not speaking about North, South, and Central United States. He was speaking about the continent, as expressed in chapter 47, number 7 of the Circle 7 Quran. Period. You Moors are breaking a lot of sevens with this quote-unquote Moorish Canadian nonsense. You all should be more intelligent than that. So, Canaanland Moors are Moorish Americans. Just like Moors at the United States, and Moors at Mexico, and Moors at the quote-unquote Caribbean islands, just like Moors at Venezuela, just like Moors at Brazil, and Argentina, and Peru, and Paraguay, etc. Period.
You big cold-blooded dummies.
Common sense was made before book sense.
And what he describes himself as a grand sheik. He describes himself as a grand sheik. Well,
So let's say you have to read an incredibly long email from your boss that you have to finish before the big meeting starts in 10 minutes.
Challenge to debate him on the legitimacy of him describing himself as such. Don't do it. He's not a grand sheik. He's never been a grand sheik.
Serving of Allah, serving of the Prophet, trying to get the work done. I don't house Ethiopian Islam. I'm a brother of love, true peace, freedom, and justice, and I'm about some work. You know where some work at? Uplifting for all of humanity. Here we are. Peace.
Peace.
We can keep going on. What else, brother?
Peace, my brother. So look, we know that in the Moorish paradigm right now, there's a lot of confusion as it relates to if our prophet is a prophet and if we are Moors, as it relates to the Moorish Science Temple of America and the historical Moors. I don't want to get too much into the dogma of it, but how do we represent today for the young children that don't know? We're not trying to dispute those detractors because we know they just trying to start confusion and division. But how do we express to the young children that we are Moors and we are a relation to the Moors of the old days?
Well, actually, mathematics don't lie. Absolutely.
So this right here is Kenyu Umar Bey. Kenyu Umar Bey is one of the Moors who put us through the Adab chamber. And this video is from 2016. So this is from 2016, and he's with Kenyu Umar Bey, who put us through the Adab chamber. Oh, you don't think? Oh, hold on a second. Let's just. Let's just do it this way, because people like receipts and all this stuff. People like receipts. Let's just do it this way. Third Heaven Diploma for Sheikdom from the Moorish Hall of Learning
of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Kudro Adwo Sutek L, DM, October 2007, Grand Major Temple, Noble Daweed Ali L, National Divine Minister Kenyu Umar Bey. And there's a seal, and there's the seal. Kenyu Umar Bey? So how come he doesn't know that Kudro's a Grand Sheik if he knows the guy who put Kudro through the Arab chamber? If Kudro got put through the Arab chamber by the guy who he's standing with, how is he saying Kudro's not something? We've been telling you for years that these people sold you out. Years we've been telling you they sold you out. He knows the guy. He knows the supermore who put me through the Arab chamber. You still think somebody's not a sellout? What more do you need to know these people are sellouts? And we're not just talking about Moors only. We're talking about going down the line, all the different organizations that claim that they're for something for our people. What more you want to know that these people are sellouts? And birds of a feather flock together. So when you see NOI guys with Moorish guys, and then the Moorish guys are cool with the NOI guys when they're calling people black and all that stuff, that should let you know something. That's not unity. That's unity of a sellout. That's not a Moorish unity. Because you know Chinese and yellow people linking up to say that you know that has not happened ever. When you see the birds of the feather flocking together, know that they're all traitors and sellouts. That's all. Nothing. That's just what it is. Accept the fact. Your own sold you out. Stop looking at this European as your enemy. He ain't the problem. Your own is the problem. You talking about all these mandates or whatever like that. Every single individual who was a spokesperson, head of this whole fraud going on out here was Asian. It wasn't European. It was an Asiatic that was telling these people about mandates and you're going to get locked down and all that stuff. It wasn't no European. It's always your own selling you out.
And he teach like the travel stuff. Now, Moors are not about right to travel. Moorish American Muslims, we are not about a right to travel. Okay. Let me say that. A right to travel is about a slave leaving a plantation and having a note that say he has a right to travel on a horse and buggy. Moorish American Muslim is not trying to circumvent getting a driver's license. That's not what we do.
Tell me if this guy has a license.
I don't think they like that. Don't hit me, buddy. Oh, he's swinging it out a little bit closer, huh?
Also want the whole dug right.
That's right. Gotta have your son do it. Caden, how old are you? 6. Just turned 6. Doing a great job. That was a good dump. Yeah, make sure you get that bucket emptied out all the way. Good finesse.
Yeah, those are full double buckets every time. He's getting efficient usage out of this thing.
So these Moors are telling you that you need a license, right? These are Moors now, adults too. Your brothers telling you, you need to go get a license from these modern Europeans in order to travel, in order to go to the groceries, in order to go to the mall, in order to go to the beach, go to the park, in order to go play some ball, in order to whatever. You need a license from these modern European colonists. But the modern European colonist has his son running an excavator. And he's standing there right next to the thing while his son's doing it, and his son's doing it better than some adults swinging the stuff all over the damn place. Where's his license? We're not going to go run down on this father of this modern European boy for running the backhoe. And he's sitting there recording them do it too. You realize why you're last? You realize why your children are getting slammed down and all that stuff in the school by police, school police? You don't realize that it's only your children that are last? And the ones that are first, some European schools are going to pick them up and use them to keep this fiction going. But you didn't know yourself. And then training his son how to rule over your ass. Because guess who you're going to hire? Because you're not going to find any of your children to run the backhoe because all they want to do is basketball and entertainers. That's all they want to do. And now they started up the WNBA and now they got the girls in on it. Now they're wasting their life. 500 jobs, 50 billion people trying out. Are you nuts? Can't you see the odds are against you? And you're 5'3" or whatever. Where are you going? Where are you going? And what's that? That's trade, right? Because everybody needs to dig a hole. So he's always going to have a job. He's 6. Keep in mind, he's 6. He already has a job. And I bet you go in the room, he has all the Tonka trucks and all that stuff. You're not playing video games. His fun. It's not the video games. Bet you has the rifle on the wall. When he turns 18, that's going to be his rifle and all that. And you're sitting around here playing games, debating Moors, and coming at Moors who are doing some good out here while you sit on your ass. Talking about this unity, but the Moors need a license so we could be unified. This European has his son running the stuff. Right? You don't understand that social conditioning. You've been trained like a lab rat. You've been trained like a lab rat. That's like, this you man got mad. This you got mad because this guy, brother, made a gesture to hit his sister. So, you're like, well, is she where she's supposed to be? Well, that doesn't matter. Nobody should want to lay a hand on a woman. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, where was your sister at? Was she where she's supposed to be? No, she wasn't. She should have been wherever. So if she was where she was supposed to be, would she be in any situation with anybody right now? Having any issues? Well, that doesn't matter. Because no man is supposed to. Your little mommy, daddy trauma that you haven't dealt with because you saw your dad hit your mom or some BS like that, that has nothing to do with right now. What has to do with right now is she where she's supposed to be? No, she's not. All right. So whatever comes with the territory now, that's what you get for not being where you're supposed to be. It's basic. But no, we're not talking about abuse right now. We're talking about being where you're supposed to be. That's the only conversation we're having right now. If she didn't decide to sneak out and go to the whatever, she wouldn't be in no situation of getting into anything. Period. Point blank. So while you keep giving them their little pass and all that stuff because, you know, you don't ground and you don't discipline because, you know, that's against the way that whatever. And you think this, you know, friendship, relationship stuff is where it's at. And then they're running amok. And then you're not checking them when they do something nuts. Well, I want to give them the best life because my dad beat me and I don't. I bet you learn something. You learn you don't need to do that. But that doesn't mean free for all. Bet we go pull 10 Asiatic children, ask them what they're doing in their spare time. And then we pull 10 European and ask them what they're doing. Bet you it's going to be different. Based on what? Based on the parents. So you might be playing the white man and the racist, whatever like that. He's teaching his son how to use the backhoe at 6. I don't care if he's racist. What are you doing? What are you teaching your son at 6? Inquiring minds want to know. You tell me about some piano lessons or something like that. Please. No wonder we're last. Keep playing this stupid victim stuff. No problem. Play. Do your thing. Do your thing. Like we say, you're only playing yourself. License.
Secondly, that's what he teaches. He teaches the right to travel. He also teaches that this land is our Morocco. Now, you understand that this land in Africa is one before of the continent. I mean, science can verify that, but you cannot prove to me that this land right here was literally, and I mean literally, I'm not talking about figuratively, literally our Morocco.
This is Bashar, and he also knows that North America, or North America is known as Al-Maghreb Al-Aqsa.
Of course. I know that. North America was known as Al-Maghreb Al-Aqsa, and it reported to the Sultan of Morocco. And there was a relation, this is why I needed to ask you, what's the relation between the first, colonials and the governors of Morocco, because they communicated, because on paper it was part of Greater Morocco. That's known.
That's known. It's known. It's known that it's kind of weird that these Europeans left being mistreated in Europe to find a new life in the Americas, but they didn't talk to anybody here to get authority to be here. They had to talk to the Sultan of Morocco, which is over there. Why didn't they just go over there, check him before they even came over here? Why is it that they had to get permission from the Sultan of Morocco to be in America? Isn't it weird? Let's just see how, if this thing is a fiction. America is Morocco. History of Moors in America, Morocco, told by a European. The video we just watched with more. Let's just see what comes up on this.
Their nationality only by becoming naturalized in or protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire. It was established by the Convention of Madrid, concluded July 3rd, 1880, as follows. Article 15. Any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country and who shall return to Morocco shall, after having remained for a length of time equal to that which shall have been regularly necessary for him to obtain such naturalization, choose between entire submission to the laws of the empire and the obligation to quit Morocco, unless it shall be proved that his naturalization in a foreign country was obtained with the consent of the government of Morocco. Foreign naturalization heretofore acquired by subjects of Morocco according to the rules established by the laws of each country shall be continued to them as regards all its effects without any restriction. The above ruling has never yet been acted upon, and should this at any time be contemplated seriously, a large number of naturalized people, American and others residing in Morocco, would be affected thereby. 4 and 5. Residence in foreign parts does not affect the nationality of Moorish subjects, and the Moorish government has no means of protecting its subjects permanently residing in other countries, with the exception of a so-called Moorish consul at Gibraltar and a Moorish agent at Cairo, Egypt. I am, etc., Hoffman Philip. Google United States Code, Title 22, Chapter 2, Section 141. Consular Courts. Act August 1st, 1956. Repealed Sections 141 to 143, effective upon the date which the President determined to be appropriate for the relinquishment of jurisdiction of the United States in Morocco. Jurisdiction of the United States in Morocco was relinquished by memorandum of President Eisenhower dated September 15, 1956. Notice was given to Morocco on October 6, 1956, and all pending cases were disposed of by 1960. See Bulletin of the State Department, Volume 35, colon 909, page 844. Sections 141, RS, Sections 4083, 4125, 4126, 4127, Act June 14, 1878, Chapter 193, 20 Statute 131, related to judicial authority generally of ministers and consuls of United States in China, Siam, Turkey, Morocco, Muscat.
So you think these people don't know who the Moors are and where Morocco is? They don't sound too confused in their U.S. code. They don't sound confused whatsoever. They sound like they know exactly what's going on, what the history, how they came into being, and the question is, how come you don't know? The Arab came on there and told you, hey, that's known. That's known that America is Morocco. If that's known, how come our people don't know? And every time we bring it up, we always have to bring up, every time America is Morocco comes up, we always have to bring up that includes so-called Canada, which that's not the name of the land above so-called United States. It's all Morocco.
Causing irreparable damage to the environment of this beautiful and vast country. Castro also raised concerns over Canada's membership in the Organization of American States, noting Queen Elizabeth is our head of state and it's not clear whether Canada is a colony, a republic, or a monarchy.
Why is it being questioned? Because where they come from? This is Morocco. And if Castro's going to question, well, why is Canada part of the American states? They're not even a country. Then he's dead. What's that tell you? Until you they shut people up. Then I tell you they shut people up. Khalid came outside even more, then he's dead. I should let you know they shut people up. Right? Fashion designer guys on Epstein list and then he's dead. How is he dead? You gonna face up to them charges going on Epstein Island and all that stuff? Designing Jordans for guys and all that? Oh my gosh, we can't believe that he's cancer. All of a sudden he just got cancer just like that. Just like that he just got cancer. Just like that. Black Panther guy got cancer. We saw him starting to deteriorate or whatever. Like, hey, something's wrong with this guy. How come he's looking like... But once you're not using your faculties, you're done for. And you're these people's food.
You know what I mean? That's insane. That's basically pseudoscience. This is Al-Marak. And the European, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave them a 50-year mandate, and now they're giving us the land back. What in the world are these people talking about? What in the world are you talking about? And a lot of what they talk about, they can't prove. These same people that said that they own the land, they still paying the European rent. They still flush the toilet. They don't want to pay taxes, but they want to flush their doo-doo down the toilet. They pay for the septic system to operate in a perfect way. You know what I mean? They don't want to pay taxes, but they want to utilize the traffic lights that the taxes pay for. And so what I'm saying is that this is sickness and this is madness. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was not in opposition of this European. In fact, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he worked within the system and extracted from the system the things we needed for our liberation. Period, point blank.
Now that brought a lot of clarity right there, because a lot of the ones online would say, like you already seen the one from the other guy, not paying mortgage and not paying, okay, so let me ask you, because one of them said you don't need a lawyer. So what's your thoughts on that? Because the Canaanland guy said you're out if you have a lawyer. So I said, so what if the brother don't know the law? He don't need a lawyer. So clear that up,
brother. See how crazy that is, man. See how crazy. Prophet Noble Drew Ali had two lawyers.
Wow.
Two lawyers. One of the lawyers was the city of Chicago prosecutor. They talk about. He had two lawyers. Ern Payne was a prosecutor for the city of Chicago.
So, Moors all know that Aaron Payne L was the lawyer for Noble Drew Ali. We all know this, right? Yeah, we all know this. But what's the problem when you get a lawyer? The problem when you get a lawyer is that they eventually sell you out. So we're just going to read this picture right here. Remember Aaron Payne L, right? Drew Ali laid to rest. Hundreds of Chicagoans attended the funeral last week of Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish temple, who died at his home after a long illness. Services were held from the Pythian temple, and the prophet was buried at Burr Oak Cemetery. Attorney Aaron Payne Ali, wearing white gloves at left, becomes the new head of the society. who made Aaron Payne Ali? Thought he's Aaron Payne L. If he's Aaron Payne L during Noble Drew Ali's time, how come when Noble Drew Ali dies, he becomes Aaron Payne Ali? And then after Noble Drew Ali dies and he becomes Aaron Payne Ali, he goes on to start his own legal practice. And as an independent attorney, he represented heavyweight boxing champ Joe Louis in an IRS case, Nat King Cole in a discrimination case, worked as an assistant to Alderman Louis B. Anderson, who's in pictures picture with Noble Drew Ali and all that. In 1935, he ran for the office of the 2nd Ward Alderman. 1960, sat for 1 term on the Sanitary District Civil Service Board. Member of NAACP, Chicago Urban League, 4th Ward Regular Democratic Organization, Defense Lawyers Association. So, if Noble Drew Ali had a lawyer and his lawyer turned out to be a sellout, why are you telling me about Noble Drew Ali had a lawyer? If the lawyer's a sellout. If the lawyer became Ali for 2 days in order to bury Noble Drew Ali and then jack the energy, and then by the end of it all, he's part of NAACP and all that other BS that has nothing to do with liberating our people, why is he even being talked about as being credible with Noble Drew Ali? Yeah, Noble Drew Ali had a lawyer. Yeah, we know. But a lawyer turned into a sellout. Why would I hire a lawyer and think I'm going against Noble Drew Ali because I didn't hire a lawyer? Lawyers are sellouts. Lawyers are officers of the court. They work for the court. That's what lawyers are. That's what lawyers are for. That's the purpose of a lawyer. But we want to know as Moors, well, hold on a second. If this lawyer, Aaron Payne L, turned into Ali after Noble Drew Ali died, then even as a lawyer of Noble Drew Ali, he was an agent and a sellout and a traitor. And Noble Drew Ali shouldn't have had him. Or, Noble Drew Ali was up, setting him up. Setting him up for today. Setting him up for today. The Eastern burial ritual was led by Kirkman Bey, who's another sellout, right? Why would they have stuff at the Pythian Temple? Noble Drew Ali transition, they're going to the Pythian Temple. I thought you got Unity Hall right there. Why are you doing funerals at Masonic spots? Like, how is it that you're going to Masonic spot to bury the prophet? And then these people walking on marked fezzes and all that stuff, and you're claiming that they're the next line. They're the line that we're supposed to be following? Please. People are traitors. An adept, Aaron Payne, who had been present at Drew Ali's deathbed, was said to be a candidate to succeed Noble Drew Ali. One elderly woman whispered to a friend, "The prophet was not ill. His work has been done. He laid his head upon the lap of his followers and passed out." Another remarked that the prophet's spirit will come back and enter the body of one of the governors. Date of death, July 20th, 1929. Buried in Burr Oak Cemetery. Or was he? An oral tradition claims that no gravesite is known. and that Drew Ali was made to disappear by the police in collusion with the FBI, perhaps to return again someday like hidden Imam of Shiites or like King Arthur. Like the Prophet Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali apparently named no successor on his deathbed. And, as with Islam after Muhammad's death, the Moorish movement split into warring factions. 2 months after Muhammad's death, violence broke out again. In late September 29, police fought an out battle with the Moors. 2 policemen died, 1 was severely wounded, and 1 more died as well. The defender reported State Attorney J.A. Swanson announced his plans for a speedy arrest and prosecution of Ira Johnson, the slayer of the policeman William Gallagher, and other cult leaders who were responsible for the riot. See all the madness that existed right before Noble Drew Ali's assassination and after his assassination. And then you're looking at the Moorish movement from the perspective of after 1930, after the traders took over. And you see Moors go on Doggy Diamonds and Moors go on whatever platforms that, and you're thinking, oh wow, these are the Moors. Is it? No, they're not. That ain't them. You've been played. And they'll keep playing you until you come to your senses. So we suggest you come to your senses sooner than later. Study, study, study what Drew Ali laid down for you. Study, study, study without doubt or contradiction, and you'll be all right. So you start doubting stuff and all that, here come the whoever's to take you out. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all Moors. Enjoy the Saturn day. Because you already know. You already know. Time never was when man was not. Peace and love, Moors. Honors to all mothers. Honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for all the great work that he did to free us. And honors to all Moors worldwide.
Yo, Circle 7 medallion on, might have affairs on, might be on the couch with your son getting an airline. On heights blackout, not profiles for Trayvon. Misguided young Moors getting their jail or grave on. Basketball and entertainers getting their slave on. No charges, popes get their little boy rape on. False prophets got people worshipping Shaitan. Selling souls, loose cipher getting his stake on. Rare still blood dripping, not on the apron. Shielded the splash sash and Moorish cape on. Grand dragon palm clasping master mason. More still but subject of the Moorish nation. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still no Indian treaty with no man. More still on the studies won't fall for your program. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still, no Indian treaty with no man. More still, understudies won't fall for your program. They got your birthright like torches, controlling your forces, turning master churches. Moorish fortress on the hill attracting tourists. How we do this and did this, sign, seal, prince and witness. My birthrights can't compare to paper terrorists, misfits, pseudo sovereigns on the dirty, more dipshit, solving their own problems. Dry hang you, magistrate and DA game, Mr. Gang bang you. Banging you like Black Power should be banging the beast. They made a cracker cry or even kissing their feet. Moorish team, Moorish MC, Moorish beats, casting out rapping civil or mortis creeps. I'm rooting for the underdogs, always for meeks, underachievers, non-believers and freaks. Cause believers have no faith when they start a hope. Stay far, or it's them and you on the road. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still, no Indian treaty with no man. More still, understudies won't fall for your program. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still, no Indian treaty with no man. More still, understudies won't fall for your program. Slaves swinging and swaying for blinging and playing. More's parrot and the prophet won't do what he's saying. I never said cause prophet's not dead. Thought of Allah, don't care about your Twitter tweets or Facebook threads. Manifesting virtual, computer turn idol. War cyber, booby trap net, optics fiber. Won't make me follow some Pied Piper. Put me on, won't take me off like dry diapers. Change the world without a bullet, no snipers, no recoil. 5 on the chest stance, Moorish B-boy, Moorish master MC, rapper body caster. Rappers are molded like plasticine, get bodied after. Sent on his white horse to the thereafter. Sent back for more still and stay here after. With no standing, chic force your landing. More still expanding and hex handing. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still, no Indian treaty with no man. More still, understudies won't fall for your program. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still, no Indian treaty with no man. More still, understudies won't fall for your program. Dreamy and drooling, falling for the fooling. Mental slaves sell out or get bought out for cooning. Being your example to follow with no strain. Meant means mind, so govern and entertain is more than you imagine. Carbon is melanin, Koran and Bible angels are cherubim and seraphim. Riding on the light angles, traveling at warp speed. We created crossbreeds, now we can't walk free. The mind is the plantation, everything is mental. Even filling your brother with lead like a pencil. Mercenaries with chalk use bodies as a stencil. If rival gangs won't stop you, barbed wire fence will. It could take more, but it might take less. Cursing your God on Job's, cash in the fake checks. Spending fake monopoly money, counterfeit at best. When you see something is wrong, you need to counter it best as you can. You don't need a magic wand or to click your heels twice to escape dreamland. Just use your mind. If you can't relate, you're living in an illusion, slave to the dream state. If you just heard about Drew Ali, don't think he's late. He brought nationality and link back to your east state. As Negro and black, we act like we can't see straight. Shake them by the shoulders, wake them from their dream state. If you just heard about Drew Ali, don't think he's late. He brought nationality and link back to your east state. As Negro and black, we act like we can't see straight. Shake them by their shoulders, wake them from their dream state. Invasion. Drew Ali, my water when the fire starts blazing. Running with the holy buckets, the Caucasian. While Asiatics daydreaming, mental stargazing. Not paying attention, but paying taxes and fines. Nas said the world is yours, he really meant mine. If I ruled the world, you wouldn't want to be black. You wouldn't want to be a deadbeat dad or be whack for sure. You wouldn't want to be the dirty moral leader, convicted and facing my firing squad either. You won't be put in a box, forget the cedar. Taking tires off cars at unexpired meters. If I ruled the world, dirty Moors would hate it. Find them with their wrists slit in bathrooms naked. Find them holding scimitar handles slumped over with suicide notes to Jehovah.
If you just heard about Drew Ali, don't think he's late. He brought nationality and link back to your east state. As Negro and black, we act like we can't see straight. Shake them by the shoulders, wake them from their dream state. If you just heard about Drew Ali, don't think he's late. He brought nationality and link back to your east state. As Negro and black, we act like we can't see straight. Shake them by their shoulders, wake them from their dream state. Dream a little dream, wake up from the nightmare. Dream a big dream, live your life in fright, scared to change. When everything that grows must do such or stay stagnant. Living your life as a pageant, made up faces with eyeliner and makeup, created by the same ones you call racist. Wake up, allow dead their dignity and exercise patience. Don't shock them too hard with electrifying statements. Everything cloudy, mind acting rowdy, hypnotized by Pied Piper, signing rap ungodlies. Having so much influence, youths won't pull their pants up, looking like a jailbird, begging for some handcuffs. In a dream state, getting grands up for freedom. Fiat is a slave to banks, you better see them. No different than the people are slaves to brand names. Move from dream to reality, change the landscape. He started from the top, don't listen to your man Drake. Only till clan hates and Masonic handshakes don't work. Moors are back, do your homework and assignments. Realize Moorish is the science. If you just heard about Drew Ali, don't think he's late. He brought nationality and link back to your east state. As Negro and black, we act like we can't see straight. Shake them by the shoulders, wake them from their dream state. If you just heard about Drew Ali, don't think he's late. He brought nationality and link back to your east state. As Negro and black, we act like we can't see straight. Shake them by their shoulders, wake them from their dream state. With a chain on your brain, with niggas no playing. King Alfred plan, vaporize, no bodies laying. Got nations reclaiming republics back. Constitution enforcing on the demo acts colored. Can't be a verse, I'm a more first. Won't claim to be ham and catch that pork curse. Following black power that lost debates. Slap Doc for having a lawyer, set the record straight. The Moors are back, burn your Nuwapian race. Pushing Malachi York with no Ellis fake. Allah's temple of Islam, perpetrate the fraud. Push Drew to the back, uplifting fraud. Claiming to be Lord, get thrown overboard. Dirty Moors talk, I walk cause you're overboard. Got sisters heads under, not over swords. Camel clutch minds with hope and thoughts. Iron sheet knowing, all niggas believing. Candyman was the master, not Steven. Odds aren't in their favor and not even. Rappers think they MCs are not even. A lot of you folks are conscious jokes. Moors, Rich, CC, The Hague, and retiring popes. Send me a message, I don't reply to pokes. I live the prophet lessons, I don't parrot quotes. Slavery been overshadowed, still wearing the yokes. No gold or silver or land is back in the notes. IRS, CRA, demand you to pay tax with no conscience when they're not Congress. Falling for bomb threats and other nonsense. Like rappers' lives, they exercise only onsets. This is physicists, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 are elements. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicists, not Genesis. Mike imagination heights, born Pegasus. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence. Papers and cars can't save minds enslaved. Just do like Cassius Clay. Correct your names like Yasin and Spraga. Adopt, elevate. Grow up, start guarding, put the guard away. Prophet Drew Ali said it all. The most I can say you won't understand. Ask Victoria, Monet, ask Nas. He said we thought like the colonists and Noble Drew Ali started dropping that consciousness, which means he knew he was no nigga and saw things clearer when he wiped off his mirror. I spit almorical rhymes. Who's iller? Genuine without the Miller draft. Who's chiller? Keys drop, but some pull locks to open them. Waiting on walkers on water and floating men. Time to get awakened. No sleeping or waiting. Acting like you're sedated for operations. Bush Kush got mind shrinking, not dilating. Hear rappers' tracks, I get sick like smelling bacon. If I'm shopping, I'm copping broccoli. Being a Moor saying you're black is a mockery. No death threats or suits will be stopping me. Sight beyond sight, no obstacles blocking me. Stand strong and firm, nothing propping me. Iron chic hip-hop pills, stop popping me. This is physicists, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 art elements. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicists, not Genesis. Mike Imagination Heights, born Pegasus. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence.
I'm a Moorish MC. Welcome to the board meeting. Year round, 4 seasons. I'll gather here for a reason. So let's throw the gods away. No idol worship consecrated. There's something wrong when the created God is not your favorite in your congregation. I'll never be a Christian more. Propagating the faith, you could be a victim of swords. I walk over the water, emotional tyranny. You say the B is for the spelling on the YouTube parodies. Apparently, we have to draw from scratch and see our artwork. Let's get it together, guys. Draw the image of sharper. With the image of our people with businesses and commerce. Muhammad in our face and Drew Ali begins to conquer. It's the capital, we be Chicago, it's decided. Oversized Temple of America business license. The heater has to leave, so I fill up the water for him, fluoride in it. With my music playing, oh the horror. Praise the Father God, Allah, Yahweh, Eloah. Broken the yoke of our burden, and we're bound to get closer to the disclosure of the truth. Unlocking the hypnosis of the devils that had cultures to play the game with exposure. I'm with the harmonies of life, a mystical encounter. In my person, what they want with the contract on the counter. A monster mother was territories, no pilgrimage. Children with the Moors and cannon and Moorish affiliates.
This is physicists, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 art elements. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicists, not Genesis. Mike Imagination Heights, born Pegasus. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence.
Huh? Who my nemesis? What is evidence that they're trying to erase all of the remnants of my DNA? Can't trace my inheritance back to my Moorish ancestors who were prevalent. On my premises, do this residence, puppets on strings. We call them the surrogates. Kiss the ring of a prince. We setting precedents. Kiss the ring, I'm a prince. I'm setting precedents. Pay homage to a king. Never knows heaven sent. Sideline, watch us do a thing, no type of hesitance. We the ancients that descend, don't care about being relevant. And ever since the genes of ISIS, authority from the wombs, always been priceless. So it's fitting that this tunes cough as ISIS, most waiting on the tomb to make things righteous. I'm aligning with the moon, planning my light quest. Geminian from June. Made in her likeness, I was fed with a spoon. Before I could bite ya, yeah, you thought you were in tune. Your mind ain't right yet, cauldron and broom. Waiting on flight deck, out the way, make room. This is our mic check, taking the fumes. You might even like it.
This is physicists, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 art elements. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicists, not Genesis. Mike Imagination Heights, born Pegasus. This is physicists, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence.
Islam Moors, happy holy day. Happy Venus Day. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat in all caps. They like to tell you that Noble Drew Ali plagiarized some other books or whatever to make his book. But when you do your research on these books that he plagiarized from, you realize that certain stuff that are in these books that he plagiarized from isn't wrong information. Nothing's wrong with the books that he plagiarized from. The books are actually pretty good books. Like the books aren't, from devil worship and stuff or anything like that. The books are actually good books. But when you check these books, you realize that when you put them next to Noble Drew Ali's book, that there's certain stuff missing from these people's book. And then that's when you realize that, oh, okay, well, you know, those on the inside are the ones who are going to know, because Drew Ali told the Moors, told them everything that it takes to save a nation, and told them, take it and save themselves. And told the Moors that they're a nation. And gave the Moors their holy book. And then in the Moors' holy book, remember, this is just for Moors. This is not for anybody else. If you're not Moor, don't talk about the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple, Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Holy Quran of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. If you're not a member, you can't really talk about it because you don't know. Right? So, after the plagiarized stuff that Noble Drew Ali put in the Holy Quran for the Moors, you have chapter 45, the divine origin of the Asiatic nations. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. So the fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation, the fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate. So we're going to see what the metaphysical meaning of fall is. Because Noble Drew Ali was not just Noble Drew Ali, he was also the professor. He wasn't also the professor. He was also the Egyptian adept. And keep in mind, certain people got an Egyptian to build their houses, their Moorish houses and stuff like that. Just keep in mind. Remember that. So Drew Ali was the Egyptian adept. Professor Drew. So if he's adept, then it's metaphysical. There's no, you're not getting around it. It's not the mundane, dummy stuff that everybody else has. Or everybody else thinks that that's what it is. Metaphysical meaning of fall. Fall. A retrogression in consciousness from the pristine Christ mind to the personal and sense mind of the Adam man. So this is Drew Ali telling you. Right? And remember, everything Drew Ali said is spirit. The Moors better heed because Allah sent him. So the fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate. A retrogression in consciousness from the pristine mind to the personal and sense of mind of Adam man. Isn't that higher self, lower self? That's higher self, lower self, right? Christ mind would be higher self. Then personal and sense mind of the Adam man would be lower self. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of their higher self and lower self. Love, hate, higher self, lower self, pristine Christ mind, personal sense Adam man. You getting what's going on here? Then he's teaching you universal law of opposites. Do you realize that he's speaking metaphysically to you and using the language of historical context? He's talking about Asiatic nations and North America and Mecca and all that, civilization. He's not talking spiritual, or is he? And the ones who want you to think that this is some mundane religious whatever like that would never tell you to look at things metaphysically. They're going to constantly tell you that he was on some religious thing. He was some cult, whatever. He plagiarized some other guy's stuff, so that's why he can't really be credible, because he got some other guy's thing. That's the surface. That's the hate. That's the lower self. That's the fallen sons and daughters mindset. Prophet came to save some people and you're hating. When you got your prophet, you're good. As whatever nation that they claim. They got their prophet that came for them. But these dummies above Mexico, they want to play their everything else, their states, their political parties, their organizations, their everything except a nationality. And the BS is going to continue because we stuck our head outside of BS and put our head back, and some people just kept their head out there. Because we realize, that's why we say, when you see Moors push live on this, they're doing you a favor. Because Moors don't play around with people who don't want to be greater than they were yesterday. There's a standard with this. And Noble Ali set the standard by telling us nationality. And making reference to nation, but then there's always some spiritual thing going on. Well, guess what that is? That's the Moorish divine and the national. Because Juali wasn't just speaking on some mundane. He was the Egyptian adept. Anybody you ask, they're going to tell you Noble Juali is the founder of the Moorish scientists in America. Right? And then And then we're not talking historical circle now. Now we're talking esoteric circle. You bring up the Moors to esoteric people. And that conversation is going on a level where you didn't even think this thing could go. So in order for the fallen sons and daughters to rise, they have to know their higher self and lower self and need to learn to love instead of hate. And then you could just switch them around. Right? Fallen sons and daughters of NOI need to learn to love instead of lower self. They need to higher self instead of hate. They need to pristine Christ mind instead of Adam man. Now remember, we even deal with the metaphysic of nation. Now what is he really saying? Why is nation a metaphysical word? For kicks? Just for words to have spiritual meanings? It's deeper than the definition. Nations, aggregations of thoughts in the mind that are to be instructed through faculties. What's faculty? What do you mean faculties has a metaphysical meaning? Let's see what this is. Faculties, awakened. Faculties of mind that have been expanded until they function in harmony with divine mind. Right, that's nation. So no joy said, you are a nation. And more than the flag, and they were marching, and yeah, we are a nation, or whatever. Did they really get it? Or did they miss it? And we already know they missed it, because if they got it, they wouldn't have been traitors and all that stuff around Noble Drew Ali. All these people would have been excommunicated immediately, because everybody knew who the sellouts were. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. Don't forget. You need to learn to love instead of hate. Well, love is the metaphysical meaning. So you thought it was just hug and whatever, and that's it? That's love? Let's just see what love is going into. Meta. Love is a divine attribute. It is an idea in the one mind. God is love and love is God, or a quality in being. The difference between divine love and human love is that divine love is broad and unlimited, a universal and harmonizing power. Human love is based on personality and is selfish, lawless, and fickle. Isn't that the same higher self and lower self again, telling you again? Divine love, human love. You thought human love was where it's at. You made it because you're human love. No, you did. You're still off. So you can't tell anybody about love if you don't even know divine love yet. And remember, with the definition of nation and the faculties and all that, to show you where Noble Drew Ali was putting Moors for them to be a nation. But they missed it. They thought it was a religious organization, parade around, and coulda, shoulda, woulda. In reality, there is only one love. When man expresses divine love in limited ways, he makes a separation in consciousness. And his expression of love is personal instead of universal. Remember, this is the metaphysical meaning of love. So you know exactly what it is, and not the illusion that's been given to you as what it is. In reality, there is only one love. What is the Bob Marley song or something like that? Oh, so that means he was talking metaphysics. Is there one love, and one love is the metaphysical stuff. Okay. And Joali told learn to love. They need to learn to love instead of hate. Not you have a choice. You need to learn to love instead of hate. You need to do that at all costs. You need to do that. Don't divert from that to go study some history or whatever like that. Go learn to love instead of hate before you do anything Moorish. If you want anything to go well for you, you better know how to love instead of hate. Because if you don't know, you're going to play yourself. Think nationality is some paper, and you don't even know how to love instead of hate. And then blaming Moors. Well, they told me I gave them $5,000. If you were learning to love instead of hate, you wouldn't got played by them people. You didn't see. He said, need to learn to love instead of hate. Need to do that. Just because you need to do it, we're going to start over. Love is a divine attribute. It is an idea in the one mind. God is love and love is God. Or a quality in being. The difference between divine love and human love is that divine love is broad and unlimited, a universal and harmonizing power. Human love is based on personality and is selfish, lawless, and fickle. In reality, there is only one love. When man expresses divine love in limited ways, he makes a separation in consciousness, and his expression of love is personal instead of universal. Divine love will establish one in fearlessness and courage. For God gave us not a spirit of fearfulness, but power and love and discipline. By establishing ourselves in the consciousness of divine love, and then it keeps doing this thing of divine love and divine love over and over. So then you just, because you got love right now, so you kind of have an idea of what it is, then you just hit the divine and then see what divine is, just so you could, when you put it together, it really resonates how it's supposed to resonate, not just surface, right? Because nationality is a frequency, it's a vibration. It's not you have a card or you got L or B, and that means that you got a fez on, so that means that you're a Moor. That's why many people fold. There's only a handful saved because you don't want to get metaphysical. Divine, godlike, godly, of the nature of God. And then they got the nature there, and then you hit the nature, and you're like, well, what? Nature of God. But it gets crazy. It gets crazy. That wasn't them, that was me. So metaphysical meaning of love. And this continual reference of divine love. And then when you go through some of the literature of Juali, he's talking about divine truth. And if truth divine, and love's divine, then that means all the other principles, it'll be divine too. And then you go check that and see really what he presented to Moors. And realize when he said salvation, when he said salvation, right? It was for you to save yourself. He ain't come to save you. He brought you everything that you need to save yourself. He's not doing anything. He brought it for you to save yourself. He's not saving you. He didn't come to save you either. Don't even try to play that one with him. He's your savior and all this. Yeah, he's savior of humanity, but he's not here to save you if he said, save yourself. If he said, know thyself, what are you talking about? He's saving somebody. Right? Phone supposed to be off. That's when they bring you up front, you get licks. Disturb the lecture, you get licks, boy. The development of divine love has its place in demonstrating supply. When love is established in consciousness, it would draw to us all that we require to make us happy and contented, all that really belongs to us. Keep in mind all we're talking about. I don't even know how long we've been on this thing. All we've been talking about for is the first and second verse. We ain't gone anywhere yet. And then imagine you have like all the different dictionaries and all that stuff, and then you're looking it up and all of that. It could get crazy. But they say the rabbit hole and all that. That stuff is real. Follow the white rabbit and all that, right? And look where you ended up. Where you going in the rabbit holes? Where you going? That's it. I could dodge bullets. And going back again, knowing your higher self and your lower self. Mr. Anderson, the lower self. Neo. So you have to know your higher and your lower self. But don't forget, you have to learn to love instead of hate. Why? Why? Let's see what hate is metaphysically. This should be good. For all the haters out there. Hate. Extreme antipathy. Intense aversion. Lingering antagonism. Dislike is a mild form of hate. Both hatred and dislike are antichrists and have no place in the superconsciousness. It's not even there. It doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist. It's an illusion. And you fell for it. Because Drew Ali came and told you stuff, and you don't want to hear what he's saying. You want to listen to 5 Moorish castle guys. And you want to listen to them. You don't hear what Moors are saying. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. Remember what nation is again. The Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. Then we go check. What's Moabite metaphysically? Just check, see. That's why you have to have the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. So that everything could be looked up metaphysically. Everything. Right? Metaphysical meaning of Moabites. Of or belonging to Moab. Thoughts springing from and belonging to that in consciousness which Moab signifies. Moab. Metaphysical meaning of Moab. Moab seems to have 2 sides to its significance. Moab means seed of the father, flowing from the father of his father. And while Moab represents the body and the most external conditions of life, there is something good in it, or at least a possibility of good. From the top of a mountain in Moab, Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, Jehovah showed Moses the promised land. Ruth, who represents the love of the natural soul of God, and from whom David and Jesus were descended, was a Moabitess. And then we have our lessons that we're going to go to our 101 questionnaire, telling us about Ruth and the Moabites and the Asiatics and all this stuff getting put together. Only through study. Right? Because remember, he's telling us that our nationality is Moorish American. He's letting you know that you're part of the old order that established everything. So what did he say? This is a new era of time now. This is a new era of time now. Where we're going to honor mother. It's on the cover of the 101. So you can't play games, the father's father BS. Because that's a fiction. Because every father has a mom. And the more that you go, and then there's another reference point that Moab is serious. So now if the Dogon have fezzes and all that stuff, and they know that they're tied to the Moabites because of that, serious, and they wear fezzes and all that. This Dogon priest. then there's definitely some type of legitimacy to Noble Drew Ali's presentation of information from chapter 45 going on to the end. Because we just showed that anything that he said, you could look it up in another realm and it's there. Just like we say, of all the flags, he brought back the Moroccan flag. Tell anybody, go to anybody and show them that flag and ask them what it is, and they know. Everyone knows what it is. They know what it is. And they're going to be talking about some kingdom. And then again, telling us the star and then the 5 points on the star, and then the 5 points represent these same principles that he's laying out in the divine origin of the Asiatic nations. Right? And we didn't even look up things like, is there a metaphysical meaning for key? Does key have a metaphysical meaning? There's some reference points. They don't have key, but they got keys. Keys of the kingdom of heaven. Affirmation and denial. Affirmation. A positive statement of truth. By the use of affirmations, we claim and appropriate that which is ours in truth. Which is why they tell you put the affirmations on the mirror, so every time you see the stuff, then you're invoking truth. Denial. The mental process of erasing from consciousness the false beliefs of the sense mind. Denial clears away belief in evil as reality and thus makes room for the establishing of truth. Carnal consciousness is made up of a multitude of false individual and race beliefs. Through denial, we get rid of these shadows of reality. We cleanse the temple of the mind of these thieves and robbers of our good. In so doing, we make way for the planting of the seeds of truth that will bring us an ever-increasing supply of good. And then you could see when in so doing, we make way for planting of seeds of truth. That's what the people in denial, that's what they never do. They just stay stuck on the denial and they just deny forever. When denial is supposed to be getting rid of the shadows of reality, cleansing the temple of the mind of the thieves and the robbers of the good. That's what denial is. But you're supposed to do something after the denial part. You're not just stuck there. But if they never look at it metaphysically, they'll never know. And then they think that denial is where it's at. Right? And then we got all that just from keys. And then Moors will tell you, keys to lock the door and open the door. Well, if we're talking all this metaphysical stuff, then the door is the mind, and then the key to open the door is the information that you get, because once you open, you could get crazy when you start messing with Moors who study. Make you give up on this stuff. Say, forget this. Not being no more. This is nuts. Yep. Metaphysical meaning of holy, since we have a holy Koran and all that stuff. Holy, spiritually whole, of unimpaired innocence. Holiness is wholeness in spirit, mind, and body. It is in this state of consciousness, man is aware of the all-pervading glory of God. Holy. Right. Oh yeah, there was also divine in there that we didn't check. That's definitely gonna be in there. Oh yeah, godlike nature of God. So then it carries on. The Egyptians, who were the Hamathites, and of a direct descendant of Mizraim, the Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese, the Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites from the land of Canaan, the Asiatic nations and countries in North, South, and Central America, the Moorish Americans and Mexicans in North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America, Colombians, Nicaraguans, and natives of San Salvador in Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founder of the uniting of Islam, by the command of the great universal God Allah. So now if you can go metaphysical meaning of Egyptians, they give it to you. Egyptians signify sense thoughts, or thoughts that pertain to the subjective consciousness in its unawakened state. They belong to the Egypt consciousness. Metaphysical meaning of Egypt. Coptic land, from the Hebrew name Mizraim, which means shut in, restraint, misery, tribulation, distress. The realm of substance and life in the depths of the body consciousness. To the unregenerate soul, it is the land of darkness and mystery, yet it is essential to the perpetuation of the body. Egypt signifies the darkness of ignorance, obscurity. It has a special significance in the body consciousness, and we often think of it as referring to the subjective or subconscious mind. We also refer to Egypt as the flesh consciousness, sense consciousness, or material consciousness. The hidden realm within our organism is in an Egyptian or an obscured state to most of us. Yet it is a great kingdom and a king and its pharaoh, ruler of the sun, or that brain and nerve center which our physiologists have correctly named the solar plexus. They tell us that This is the brain of the body, and that it directs the circulation, digestion, assimilation, and so forth. Students of mind have discovered that the solar plexus is but the organ through which the ruling thought acts. And this ruling thought is typified by Pharaoh, he of the hard heart, who would not let my people go. But we should not forget that it is down in Egypt that we find the grain or substance required to sustain the man. Many workers in truth think that it is useless to go into the obscure kingdom within each man. They are not willing that Joseph shall spend a part of his time down in Egypt making ready the storehouses and filling them with the vitality that will be needed when the outer man is exhausted his resources. These will find that they cannot have that joyous reunion of mind and body with all its brothers or faculties as set forth in Genesis 42:46, unless they are willing to let the higher thought go consciously down into Egypt and rule there second to King Pharaoh herself. Physically, Egypt typifies that part of the body below the diaphragm. The various plagues brought upon the Egyptians by the Lord through Moses are symbolical representations of what occurs in this part of the organism when the presiding intelligence, Pharaoh, opposes the influx of the higher life. Parallels to the body: waters, frogs, lice, flies, murrain, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and death of firstborn may all be found in the various diseases of bowels, kidneys, and other organs of the body as named by doctors. A very large number of these ills result from mental resistance to spiritual consciousness, which is working widely in humanity. The spirit man, the true ego, is the only rightful heir to the divine inheritance, spiritual consciousness. We as individuals must awake from the dream of mortality, leave Egypt forever, cross the Red Sea, the boundary line where the sacrifice every tie that binds us to the past. Thence go through the wilderness, a transitionary state, through the waters of Jordan, the boundary line between the transitional and the permanent, and plant our feet on Canaan's land, our inheritance. Once there, we have 31 kings, usurping thought forces, to conquer before we can peaceably settle down in our inheritance. But Christ, the captain of the army of the Lord of hosts, meets us, is revealing to conscious thought on Canaan's shore and directs our battles. Truth becomes an active, irresistible power. When the spirit man awakens and finds that he is the possessor of the divine germ, the word of truth, he begins at once to make use of it. The result is an influx of light. Mortality, which is synonymous with darkness, begins to fade from his conscious thought. As this light increases, mortality decreases until, as Paul says, mortality is swallowed up by immortality. Death is swallowed up in victory. That's Egypt. That's what Egypt is. Genesis 12:10, 37:2. Matthew 2:13. Just go metaphysical meaning of Egypt. I'll give you all the references so you know. Right? That was all that just from Egyptians. And then if you go through all of them, Hamathites and Mizraim, Arabians, Seed of Hagar, Japanese, Chinese, metaphysical of Hindus, India, right? They already told you Canaan lands. Hittites, Moabites. No. This is another reference point where you're only going to see this if you have the right mindset. So Brother Sheldon did a video about this. The idea of, are we Moorish Canadian or Moorish American? Because we're in Canada, so we shouldn't say American, we should say Moorish Canadian. And we bring them to Noble Drew Ali, and we show them this chapter, verse 5. The Asiatic nations and countries in North, South, and Central America. So he's talking about the ones over here at this point. Now, the ones over here are the Moorish Americans and Mexicans in North America. Remember, this is the 1920s. How come in the 1920s, Noble Drew Ali is making reference to Mexicans in North America, but he's not making reference to Canada and the United States? How come above Mexico is where Moorish Americans are? What do you mean? Shouldn't say the Canadians, the United Statesians, and Mexicans in North America? 1920s? Oh. So anybody who's telling you about some Moorish Canada or whatever, obviously they're going against Noble Drew Ali. Obviously they're going against Noble Drew Ali. Right? Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America. Oh yeah, and also remember that the Moorish Americans and Mexicans in North America, right? The Moorish Americans is in the 101 questionnaire. And it's letting you know that they're descendants of Moroccans. They're descendants of Moroccans. Moroccans are from Morocco. So the Moorish, which is pertaining to Moors, are these specific Moors in North America with the Mexicans. The ones that Noble Drew Ali came to because they needed him the most, because everybody else already had nationality. They already know that they were Brazilian, Chilean, Colombian, Nicaraguan, natives of San Salvador, Turks. They already knew who they were. We were the ones playing games that were behind. Kept getting treated like somebody's property. Continually getting treated like somebody's property. Think he didn't know what he was doing? With him letting you know certain things? Giving you certain perspectives to look at the world And keep in mind all the metaphysical Bible dictionary words in his writings that you're going to be able to look up. And that way you could see actually how divine his lessons were and are. And it's for you to take them and save yourself with it. Because no one is going to be helping you out there. You're on your own. So he gives you your geographical jurisdiction. And everybody who's your family all across the planet. And then chapter 46, he tells you now about the beginning of this stuff that you claim is for your salvation. Because remember, the whole religious angle was because of our people being in zoot mode. High off something, and it's not the Holy Spirit. Right? So he did the religious thing to appeal to them. But once they got in the door, this is a whole different thing that you're involved with. It's not what you thought. They told him about the beginning of Christianity. And we already know a lot of our generation, from young we knew that it was some BS. From young we were questioning and yeah, how come this and why is that, and if God's so good, why did he just kill all the devils? Like what the hell is this? Right? So we would have had generations before us that were, in the Christianity, you know what I mean? And them go doing their rituals and all that stuff, pulling us in it. We have to, right? So, the beginning of Christianity, the foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. So of course, we got to see what this is. What is Jesus metaphysically? Metaphysical meaning of Jesus. Jesus represents God's idea of man in expression. The I in man, the self, the direct power, raised to divine understanding and power, the I am identity. Christ is that idea in the absolute. Jesus Christ was the type man, which includes all the mental phases through which man passes in demonstrating life's problems. So we find Jesus Christ passing through all the trials, temptations, and mental variations of each of us, yet without sin that is not falling under the dominion of evil thoughts. The experiences of each individual are in a miniature the experiences of all. We may put to the new man we may put on the new man that is brought forth, Jesus Christ, in ourselves. First, we must put away the old man of error and limitation, and through denial of his reality, there's denial again. The second step is to accept the truth of our being in faith, then through understanding to begin diligently to live truth in thought, word, and deed. The Christ is the man that God created, the perfect idea man, and is the real self of all men. Jesus Christ is this Christ self brought forth into perfect expression and manifestation. That's Jesus. Anybody telling you Jesus is anything else? Be very careful. Nazareth. Metaphysical meaning of Nazareth. The meaning of Nazareth is branch, offshoot, sprout, verdant, shining, watched, guarded. A synagogue is a place of worship, and the Sabbath is a state of rest. Luke 4:16 runs, and he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and he entered, as his custom was, into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and stood up to read. This means that when we begin to awaken to the truth that we are sons of God, branches of the one true vine, when we take the attitude of worship, of watching, of centering the mind's eye on the Christ truth, the rest in that consciousness, we are receptive to the inspiration of spirit. Nazareth was a despised place. The things that the Spirit of God are considered foolish by the natural man. See 1 Corinthians 2:14. And as such would be a type of inferiority. It was considered a community of commonplace, if not disreputable people. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Yet, in this commonplace village, Jesus was reared, and in the seemingly mediocre mind, the Christ truth is received and expressed. Nazareth typifies the commonplace mind of man, but it is a place of development through which Christ comes into expression. Look at everything metaphysical, and you'll be in a good place. Jesus himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa, seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Rome crucified him according to their law. Then Europe had peace for a long time until Muhammad I came upon the scene and fulfilled the works of Jesus of Nazareth. The holy teaching of Jesus was to the common people to redeem them from under the great pressure of the hands of the unjust, that the rulers and the rich would not oppress the poor. Also that the lion and the lamb may lay down together, and neither would be harmed when morning came. These teachings were not accepted by the rulers, neither by the rich, because they loved the principles of the 10 Commandments. Through the 10 Commandments, the rulers and the rich live, while the poor suffer and die. The lamb is the poor people. The lion is the rulers and the rich. And through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, all men are one and equal to seek their own destiny and to worship under their own vine and fig tree, after the principles of the holy and divine laws of their forefathers. All nations of the earth in these modern days are seeking peace, but there is but one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, being taught universally to all nations in all lands. So when you look at Noble Drew Ali and what he presented for the Moors, specifically the closing chapters of the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Divine National Movement, in the time that we went through that and we got what we were supposed to get out of it, you now are able to take that and apply it to all your studies, not just some Holy Quran only. Because remember, everything is spirit, so Moors had better heed. Everything is a lesson. Remember the temptations and all that. Everything is a lesson. Everything is a test and a challenge. You know? It's all about not letting the challenge conquer you. Right. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Supreme honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Don't forget, January 8th, Canaanland Moors, Noble Drew Ali Day, 12th annual celebration. And they've been killing us because can't go anywhere because of all this BS. So all the Moors, know that we miss all the Moors who would be at Noble Drew Ali Day every year. They fly in from wherever they're flying in from. And when we went online and we had the heavy hitters last year, all the Moors who were there. So we're going again this year. Your PayPal, canaanlandguide@gmail.com. CANAANLAND GUIDE@gmail.com. And 25 notes gets you 6 hours, and the Moors are gonna go in. Just know that. Just know that. Last year we on the day of, we send you out the link on the day of once you make your stuff, and try to, don't be waiting till the last minute and then like that giving people work. We don't want work, right? Try to get your funds in at least 2 days before the date. At least 2 days before. And space is limited, so anybody else, if we go over, then we'll just give you your refund. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. We don't want to talk too much about it. We want to keep you biting at the chops, waiting. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the Moors. Oh yeah, and the music from the beginning, khalifamedia.com, and all GS Kudrow books, khalifamedia.com. And of course, rvbaypublications.com. If you're, you think we're full of BS or whatever like that, you want to go somewhere else, we suggest you go to rvbaypublications.com. And you'll be back in 2 years. Say, yo, man, you'll be back. Honors to all the Moors. Happy Holy Day to all the Moors worldwide. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. We thank you. We give thanks to you. We give supreme thanks to you, even though they don't have any of your audio and all the other stuff that you wrote. And even though they're hiding all your remedies and stuff like that, Moors have to do all types of madness to try to get your herbs and all that. It's all good. Thank you still for everything. From all the Moors, all the true, sincere, faithful, honorable, righteous Moors. Honors. Peace and love to all. Islam.